We will call this meeting of the Board of Selectmen to order. We will begin with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, as you're no doubt aware, since our last meeting, we had an election, and I want to say congratulations to Doug Morrison on his re-election, and congratulations to John Kaplis for being elected to the board. Our first order of business tonight will be to reorganize the board, which is done annually after the annual town election. For the purposes of making nominations and voting, I will turn the chair over to the town administrator, who will conduct the election of the chair.
Okay. Want me to move? Or you don't want to move, just hand me the gavel. I may need the gavel.
You want the gavel?
This one.
Okay, for the purpose of reorganization, Chair will entertain nominations for Chair of the Board.
I would like to nominate Diane Haley Brooks for chairman.
Diane Haley Brooks, is there a second?
I'll second my own.
Okay, second. Further nominations?
I'd like to nominate John Kaplis.
Is there a second? Second?
Yes, I can second my own.
Okay. Further nominations? Hearing none. There are two nominees made and seconded for the position of board chair. Clerk, please call the roll. You're not the, oh.
That's me.
Holly, please call the roll, yeah.
Selectman Haley Brooks.
You
For
vote.
whom? Oh,
One of the two candidates.
pick one.
Pick one.
The official way?
Yeah. In other words, we'll just call the roll and you vote for a candidate and declare a winner.
I don't know what to say. It's just. Can we ask questions? Just
Want
kidding.
to make speeches?
No, I don't want to make a speech. I'll vote for John. Selectman Morrison?
Diane,
Selectman Columbus?
Kaplis?
Selectman Richard?
Kaplis.
Selectman Kaplis?
I guess that would be me, Kaplis.
It's
4-1.
4-1. Declare John Kaplis the chair of the board for the next term. Your first duty would be to entertain nominations for the other positions on the board, other officer positions on the board.
Want to move in here?
No, I'm good right here. I'm fine.
Okay, you want that?
Yeah, that's good. I saw it. We need to
Yeah.
move for positions for co-chair,
Correct. Positions for
Vice chair.
vice chair.
clerk and vice chair and secretary.
So I hear any nominations for vice chair?
Diane Haley.
I'll second that.
Doug?
voting now?
Are we voting now?
Yeah. So you nominated her.
Mm-hmm.
She seconded it, so now we're ready to vote.
Yes.
So you're asking me first?
Oh, no, I meant, did you ask for further nominations?
Oh, is there any other nominations? For vice chair? I say there's none.
close nominations.
Close the nominations. Doug?
Yes.
John? Mr.
Diane.
Columbus?
Haley Brooks.
Yep, I'm gonna get to her. You? Okay, good. Julie?
Yeah.
My turn?
Yep.
Diane?
Okay, that's,
Yeah.
plus I said Diane too as well, so it's, all of it, that's anonymous for a vice chair.
Okay. We have a clerk.
I would nominate John Columbus.
Declined.
I have a nomination for Mr. Columbus.
I
Do I have a
declined.
second? Oh, you declined. I didn't hear you, I'm sorry.
Are you the clerk now, Don? There's just a clerk?
I'll
Is it
nominate
just
Doug
clerk left?
Morrison.
Yeah.
That's all I have now.
Well, I nominate Doug.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any other nominations for clerk? No? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Doug.
Yes.
Absolutely. John?
Doug.
Excellent. Julie?
Doug?
Okay. Clerk is anonymous for Mr. Morrison for clerk. And what's next?
That's it.
That's it, right? Great. Good job, everybody. Good evening, everybody. We'll go right by the agenda.
The ATM warrant was posted. It's posted on our website as well as posted around town. That is the clean warrant with just the articles, which is what we're legally required to post. In addition to that, I prepared a summaries and motions warrant that includes the articles themselves, summary of each article, and the motion for town meeting. That's also posted on the website and will be available. We'll make copies available for those attending the town meeting, at the town meeting. Also, Article 4 is the operating budget for the town for fiscal 2017, and we will have copies of that available on the website as well as printed copies for those who are attending the town meeting. In conjunction with that, the Selectmen have not yet voted on the budget. I assume we're going to do that later this evening. There have been two changes since last meeting. Because Mr. Kaplis was elected to the Board of Selectmen and has advised me that he may not continue as Veteran Services Director, I have increased the line item for a Veteran Services Director salary back to $20,000, which is where it was when Mr. Kaplis became our director. He has a cap on his earnings, and so we reduced it down to around $9,000. Because of that cap, we've raised it back up. To offset that cost, I've reduced the budget for building maintenance and for town buildings. We had $60,000 in the budget for town buildings and $40,000 for building maintenance, $100,000 altogether. The $60,000 that we had for town buildings basically was a transfer of the $60,000 that we were paying for rent on the at the other facility, and so looking at our spending patterns, clearly we can make the reduction and not interfere with the orderly maintenance of this building and other buildings and so forth. So that's where we did the offset. And secondly, I was advised by the superintendent that the bond for the regional school debt service will be increased by roughly $10,000 to $441,000. That's about a $10,000 increase. That also means a $10,000 increase in excluded debt. And so I made those changes in the budget. Raised the amount of excluded debt revenue and raised the amount that we will be paying on that debt in the operating budget. Those are the only two changes since the budget was reviewed last time. We have a
Yes, Will.
Through the chair, for the administrator. The administrator put out the 10th budget last Wednesday at 5:17 before the pre-town. Is this budget and the initiative that was given to us on the March the same, or is this in addition to or a different one?
No, it's the same.
No, so the
Hasn't been given to the well, actually, it did go out electronically to the selectmen, but
Okay.
I wanted to bring them up
So
to date.
we're talking about the same budget here?
the same
not-
budget, yes.
Not an additional one?
Yeah, this budget,
It wouldn't be the 11th version, it'd be the
No,
10th?
no. But as you can see, the budget evolves during the season. Sometimes we don't know key information about the budget until later on in the fiscal season. For example, we didn't learn what our assessment would be for health insurance until a little less than a month ago. And then once you get that assessment, because it was significantly high, we had a discussion with the Insurance Advisory Committee and so forth. So while it would be desirable to be able to produce a budget on January 1, the fact is that the process tends to evolve and may still be evolving. I don't know what the legislature is going to come out with for local aid. I do know that they want to do more than the governor has done. And so what we may end up with is either more money or the same amount. So those are the issues we have when we try to do a budget. Among other things, I met with the advisory board last Wednesday, May 4th. We've also convened the Insurance Advisory Committee. And the one loose end with that right now is that employees who are not part of bargaining units need to vote to select 2 members of that committee to represent them. We do have a senior or retiree representative, and we have representatives from the unions. I was informed today by the highway superintendent that a truck has broken down. This is a 1975 model, only 41 years old.
So it's a little newer.
And the issue is, is this worth putting money into? And I don't think it is. So, for now at least, the work was being done was the water truck that would go out, spray the roads prior to the street sweeping. So, since the street sweeping program is practically completed, we don't have to worry about that function for a while. So, also, I mentioned to you that the audit for fiscal 2013 is underway. It is my hope that we can move directly into the audit for fiscal 14 as soon as 13 is completed, and then get to 15 and get our bond rating restored and our free cash certified. So that's the report.
Great,
Chairman.
thanks, Bob. Appreciate it. You guys get an opportunity to read the minutes from 4/25/16.
Yes, I make a motion to accept the minutes from 4/5/15.
I hear a motion. Do I hear a second? Second. I have a second. Any discussion? I hear no discussion. We'll place the vote. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. It's unanimous for the minutes from 4/25/16. The appointments and board committee discussion? Is that to it, Holly?
Alicia, she wanted to come and talk about the different boards and committees
Okay.
and a policy.
Oh, fantastic.
Hi, everybody. So as everyone is aware, I took over doing the appointments last year. Where it was my first year last year, I was kind of just going through the motions, trying to get the hang of it, making sure that everything was done properly. In doing so and in following up this year and trying to get things a little more streamlined, I've come up with a couple of questions, which is the handout that I sent to you all. Mostly being and centered around town employees and why we are appointing town employees to positions that they're being paid for every year. It just kind of seems redundant to me. And I didn't know if there was a way that we could maybe reword things or combine things into job descriptions and either extend those terms and make them 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, or combine them to, as they say with others that are appointed, that they are concurrent with their title or concurrent with employment, concurrent with position, and just kind of eliminate having to appoint them every year. So as I did, I basically have an Excel sheet where I have all the boards and the committees and everyone's appointments. So what I did is I basically went through every tab, and where I found something that I had a question, I tried to put it in. So that's basically what you have before you. I had one or two that came up while doing it, but nothing big. So I just kind of wanted to bring it to your attention, see what your thoughts were, and see if there was something that we could move forward with in the future, anything that I could do to change before 6:30 when certain appointments are going to expire this year.
How many committees are there right now?
I couldn't, I can't give you an exact number off the top of my head.
Like 83, I
I'll tell
think?
you, we have quite a few.
Like- And all those committees, these are still active committees?
Yeah, I mean, there's far more than what I have listed. On this list was just the ones that
Coincided with some.
employees, yeah, that coincided that I was questioning.
I'd have to look at the state statute on that. Yes, Doug.
So I think committees and employees are really two different things. I would agree on employees, it makes zero sense to reappoint an employee every year. And that unless there's some state statute that says we can't have concurrent with employment, then I would change the ones for employees. Committees, though, on the other hand, probably do need to be appointed, on a regular basis.
Right.
However, I've got some, concern, or not concern, I guess. I find it a little funny that if you're appointed to a board, for example, us, and then as a representative of the select board, you're then appointed to another committee, that you also have to be sworn in for that committee. You've already been sworn that you're going to uphold the responsibilities of this position, and the responsibility of this position is to serve on that committee. You shouldn't need to go through all those hoops for that
Redundancy.
committee as well. Again, it's just, redundant, but I do think the state statute says you have to do that, so.
Yeah.
But that would be, I agree that, for an employee, it makes zero sense to have to appoint them every year. So what would happen if you don't reappoint them?
And that was my question.
Are they fired at that point?
Correct.
or-
They're still on payroll, they're still technically employee, if something falls through the cracks, I don't get it in front of you before June 30th, they're not appointed.
Yeah.
Are they still an employee? Because they're still on our payroll, so.
Well, I can
so-
tell you that there's a bylaw for the appointment of a gas inspector, so you cannot not do that at the moment, because the bylaw says that the selectmen shall annually appoint an inspector of gas piping and appliances. And the last time that was updated was 1964. Just saying.
A town bylaw.
It's actually section 13. But I don't see anything else in our bylaws about
I believe that was the only.
appointments of employees, so, right now I only see appointment of a gas inspector, not any other. That's the only one?
Yeah, so there was that, and then kind of going along with that was just, we appoint our police department every year.
Yeah.
And yet we don't appoint our fire department. so I didn't know where that came in. So within our police department, we have an arson investigator that would need to be appointed. The fire department also has an arson investigator.
Right.
So why are we appointing one and not appointing the other? So they're just kind of different discrepancies and things that I've come up with and found along the way that I just wanted to bring to your attention, so that way we can kind of streamline everything.
No, this is
and
great.
go forward.
John, you have something?
Well, I just think that, just looking through some of the questions you asked, some of the people, department heads, the financial team management typically are under contract and usually appointed to 3-year terms.
There are some that aren't under contract though, like the town accountant, the treasurer. It just seems redundant and unnecessary to appoint them when they're also hired. So if your appointment's up and you're still here, are you no longer working here? Of course you still are. So some of that just seems
Right.
like too much.
Question.
Yes.
I would say that these issues here fall under the purview of the town administrator, since he's responsible for the day-to-day operation
I agree.
of the town government. So have these been put forth to the town administrator before you brought them here?
It is questions that I've asked in the past, and I believe it was sent. I don't know, I believe the form was sent out to everyone in the past, but they are things that I've brought up randomly throughout the year that we've been trying to look into.
I have to concur with John. I think this should fall in the town administrator's realm of responsibilities.
But I don't think it was brought to him because the board votes on
Because
it.
we
so
do
that's
it
why
every
was
year,
brought.
so it hasn't been a part of
Right.
the town administrator's job. I mean, this is stuff that
It's new.
we were doing, or,
All appointments go before the board.
yeah,
so.
everything
Right.
comes
No, I
before the
understand.
board. So, I mean, if we're saying that it falls under, again, I mean, the clarification, is there a state statute that says, I'm sorry, I can't even see you. That says that we have to do this? If not, I mean, they're hired, and
They're already
if
employed.
whatever we're gonna do for the police department, we need to do for the fire department, and it needs to be consistent. It doesn't mean, if it doesn't need to come here, why do we want to do that?
Right.
If it falls under the, and they should run with their job time frame or contract. Right, no?
Yeah, my sense is that
Maybe that doesn't even have to be done.
those who are under contract are appointed de facto. They don't need to be appointed. I like the idea of periodic reappointment. I mean, we have some employees, as Alicia points out, who have ongoing appointments, permanent appointments. And I'm okay with that in terms of line employees, regular employees. I'm not okay with that with department heads. I think that those who are the top managers of departments need to be reviewed and periodically reappointed. Or given another, or you don't have to have the appointment. The decision is, do you get another contract?
Right.
And so, if in fact they are under contract, giving them another contract constitutes an appointment. I'm not sure that we need to have the redundancy here.
Like you said, de facto.
I mean, among other things, those who have permanent appointments have significant more rights than those who are under contract. And so, if in fact this board decides to terminate an employee, a management level employee, not unionized, who is under a permanent appointment, that normally results in a case before the Labor Relations Board. That's normal. A challenge, in other words. Whereas if it's a contractual situation, the contract runs out. And so I think it's part of the authority that the Board of Selectmen should have to make a decision as to whether or not to renew a contract and to keep a management level employee. Management level employees are paid more,
Right.
but you sacrifice a certain amount of security, job security.
Any other discussion? Nothing from the crowd? Everything else?
No, that
Well, thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. I really do appreciate it. And I wish that was just more informational based, right?
Yes. Correct.
Voting on the Selectmen's Office job descriptions based on what what Mr. Marco submitted, along with the personal policy guidance.
All right, I do have some selected, some suggested revisions to the original draft for both positions. Sent them out to you. You may have other suggestions. If not, I'd recommend a vote on a decision on these.
Not sure which ones you sent, but I'm sorry, John, can I speak?
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, please.
I have a couple, only because I came in today to do some work and organize some follow-up stuff. So the assistant to the town administrator, because that title was changed, was classified as exempt, and it should really not be, because an assistant does not qualify as an exempt employee. If you look it all up, and so that job should be non-exempt.
Non-exempt, yes.
So that does need to be changed. And okay, so
Now, I agree completely with that. Someone who is exempt would not be eligible for overtime. And
Right.
usually there's situations like tonight where a non-exempt employee would work a full day and would be here in an overtime situation.
Okay.
So, a couple of other things, but they kind of have to go hand in hand, depending on how we're doing the job descriptions, whether or not we are. For an assistant and not an HEA, I think that the level of required education should be brought down to associates and not a bachelor's degree. And I know there were a couple of other things too, but let me just, okay. Moving on to the next one, instead of HR coordinator, yep.
Can I comment? I
Absolutely.
mean, one way we could make that work is put down preferred.
Absolutely.
So that gives you
The
some
educational
flexibility.
platform is preferred.
Okay, thank you.
Preferred.
Okay.
Can we deal with one at a time?
Yes, absolutely, John.
Let's get this one, the assistant done.
Well,
and
some,
then the other.
okay, so other changes in here, I think prepare the street list booklet. I don't know, I've kind of had different conversations with different people, and I think that should be passed over to the HR coordinator, only because we don't have quote-unquote admin at the moment, and I think some of those duties could be done by that job description. These are just suggestions. And then, I mean, I don't know, again, I've talked to a couple of, instead of HR coordinator, could it say assistant? And then in the summary, so that's the end of my things for the assistant to the town administrator.
Okay.
And then for HR coordinator, HR assistant, you guys can decide.
Can we deal with the,
What's
John, point of order, can we deal
Yeah,
with
go
the
ahead.
assistant town administrator and put that to bed before we deal with the other one?
Okay,
we'll do one at a time, is that what you're saying, John?
Yeah.
well,
Okay, hold on, I'm just looking at something.
okay. It's just because one was gonna be transferred to another.
Well, Mr. Marco, correct me if I'm wrong, some of these responsibilities, if it was to the assistant, she can give some of these responsibilities to the HR person as well, if she's the overall supervisor, correct?
This is not a supervisory position.
It's not,
So,
that
no,
was changed.
Okay.
It is not.
On the street listing though, why the town clerk is the one that has all the information.
I agree
Why
with
isn't the
you.
town
I'm
clerk
confused
responsible
on that.
for producing that?
Because I think that they're supposed to be printed by our office and not by, I had asked her about that, and she said it's through our office.
I asked the same
Because it's
question.
always
She
been
said
that
the
way.
same
Comes up
thing,
with the
correct?
list,
Yeah,
and then
she
she
comes
gives
up
it
with
to
the list,
us.
but it's our responsibility to follow through with
Like
that,
design the
not
book,
not
the
hers.
annual, I
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
But that hasn't been being done. So it's, she's just been making copies on
Yeah.
regular kind of paper
That'd be
as
crazy.
needed.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's all you see right now?
Yeah.
So just the list, the book list, which we can potentially slide over to the HR position. We can, I mean, if that's what you want,
They're just suggestions.
I love suggestions. Okay,
It's whatever you guys want.
all right, any other discussion? Yes, Will?
I know when the administrator said an exempt position cannot be overtime. I'm not sure that that's 100% correct, because in the private sector, that can happen, but it has to be defined as to what is paid for that overtime. So I'm not sure about government, but that's a possibility that you might want to take a look into as far as exempt, and it's a fixed hour,
Right.
a rate, and it's for so many hours, period, and that's generally how it's done.
Right.
So I don't know about.
Well, you're right, we can do some limited overtime for an exempt position, but it's cleaner and simpler to make it non-exempt.
I'm just pointing that out, that it can be done, that's.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Yes, ma'am.
For years, the person that was the secretary or loose administrative assistant always came to meetings at night after they worked all day. That was part of the job. So,
And they always
no
have
one's
overtime
died
set
yet on the
aside.
doorstep.
Yeah, and I think they got compensated for
They
that
were
time.
compensated.
Yeah, since I have been here, there has always been a line item in the budget of roughly $2,000 to cover overtime for the assistant in the selectman's office to attend the meetings.
It doesn't make sense to try to give them time off in lieu of, because it never works.
No, I'm not a big supporter of that.
Well, the amount that's in the budget for this type of overtime is very modest. And
Yeah, I don't think this town's as a comp, you know, we're not gonna comp your time.
We don't have.
No.
You know, it's either you're here or you're not, or you get compensated for the being here.
comp time is very...
Versus salary.
Screwed all the time.
It does. So other than those changes, any other suggestions or comments before we can vote on these positions?
I would move that we adopt Bob's suggestion on the assistant to change required level of education to
Yes.
preferred level.
Yep, I got that. Okay, with that preferred level on the street list book going to HR, is any other discussion? Okay, I have a motion to put this into change.
I'll make that motion to put this into change.
I got that. Any, can I have a second?
Second.
Doug seconds, great. Anybody else? Any other discussion?
Are you gonna put that out? Are you gonna advertise for someone to fill a position?
Am I gonna advertise for the position? I believe the position right now is full. I think she's already doing the job.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, she's been doing the job since I've been here anyways. Is there a question?
Well, we'll see what happens. I think that you better make sure people are qualified.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand.
We've had bad luck with people that aren't qualified, so we'll see what happens.
That's a good point. Anything else? Anybody else? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes?
Great. Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. That's unanimous on the change. We just need to change those two things, Mr. Marco, the street list book and obviously the preferred education level. Okay, moving on to the second position, which is the Human Resource Coordinator position in the Board of Selectmen's office.
So, again, I have some,
Yep.
that instead of a
Please.
20-hour standard schedule, which would fall into the benefit category,
It's
we need to just
19.5.
take that off,
Yep.
please. And under the first paragraph, professional and administrative assistance, not management. And then on the second line, managing, it should say assisting with.
Excuse me, the second line, I'm
Right,
making the
sorry,
changes
here.
as you're,
Assisting with, not managing.
yes.
We have to keep that, so.
All right.
So just assisting with, not, I can't change that. That's it.
What's the title of that?
With the last job description, it was voted coordinator, so it's staying coordinator.
But since we changed the other one to say preferred level of education, we should probably change
Yep,
this one
preferred
also.
level, yep, sorry.
Yes, you're right.
Yep.
That's a good call.
The other title was also changed, we're not gonna change this one?
Yes, John?
First paragraph under supervision
Mm-hmm.
doesn't make sense. See, works under the direction of the town administrator, period.
Oh,
Works
yeah.
independently, generally setting own work
Take that
plan,
out.
but the first sentence says you're under the direction of the town administrator.
You just take out the second
Action,
sentence.
what, can I
And
clean
the whole
absolutely.
sentence
John's got the
probably
table.
contradicts.
The whole sentence contradicts.
All right, so hold on one second. Thank you. Go ahead, John.
Action to achieve objectives. What objectives? Who sets the objectives? Where are they? I don't see any objectives in here. Any matters out of the ordinary. You're saying will be worked in conjunction with the town administrator. Are you saying that actions that are ordinary are not done under the direction of the town administrator? I would just have works under the direction of the town administrator, period. I don't think the rest of that
Should be in there.
verbiage is necessary.
I
or
concur.
desirable.
What do you think, Mr. Markle?
Makes sense to me.
Thanks, John, for with those updates. Any others discussing? Doug? Oh, you had your hand up? No? Julie? You want me to just, anything to add? Okay. Any other discussion for the Human Resource Coordinator, other than the changes that were put in place? The 19.5 hours, the 20-hour thing needs to come off.
Thank you.
After town administrator, obviously, that rest of that little small paragraph can go away. Any other changes that you can see? And obviously, the education level is preferred.
Preferred.
Associate's degree level.
I have a question.
Yes.
So we're gonna leave in there that they have to be certified?
Which
and
paragraph
they
are you
have
at?
to have 3 years of extensive human resource experience?
Which paragraph are you on?
On the required level of education, it says that PHR, they have to have a certification, preferred professional human resources. Related work experience says minimum 3 years of responsible and broad range human resources experience.
Preferred.
Are we
Preferred.
leaving that in there?
Preferred.
Preferred for everything?
Yep.
All three?
So the title of that section changes from required to preferred.
Preferred. And I have to ask again,
Yes.
just to clarify, I'm confused as to how the title for Assistant Town Administrator got knocked down to Assistant to the, but this one is staying as Coordinator and not Assistant. Isn't it assisting the Town Administrator with all these things?
You're right.
Yes. Yes, John.
How do you define coordinator? How do you define assistant? What's the difference?
Well, what has happened here is that after some revision, this position has been clarified as a position assisting the administrator. So,
So then it's really not a coordinator, it should be.
no, it's an assistant.
So we have to go back and fix the other job description. I tried to say that, but. it's okay.
On the assistant to the town administrator position?
There's it says HR coordinator in there, but I
Right.
couldn't talk about the other one, so I couldn't talk about that. So we have to change if we're gonna change it to assistant, then we have to change it in the other one too. So that's all.
And my
Just-
understanding was a coordinator was going to be a 30-hour position, so they could then take over the benefits duties from the treasurer to take some off of her load, which they do in a lot of towns.
Mm-hmm.
And if we're gonna have 19 hours, she's really not gonna have the time to take it over. That was also part of the coordinator position.
Right, obviously, at this point in the juncture, that's probably not gonna happen right now due to funding. But we can relook at that at a later date as far as hours for the coordinator or the human resources coordinator.
I don't think that we should necessarily take it out, though, because we have to keep, unless we just
No, I think it-
revisit another job description next year, but
Again, these are
job
gonna
is
evolve.
not doing that right now. Is that an accurate statement?
Right.
Not doing that, so we would have to.
It was gonna be added.
Right.
Right.
If we have it in there, should they be doing that? And if not, then we should take it out, and we should revisit next year when we look at next year's budget. Because if they're really not doing that, and they're not going to do that, then we should be doing evaluations based on job descriptions.
Understood.
Right, I'm asking, so I think that we should take that out then at that,
Okay.
and
Go
then,
ahead, Bob.
no, yes, no, maybe.
No, I agree.
I'm not there every day, but
I think we should review this
yearly, yeah.
yearly. Right now, we have a relatively small workforce.
Right.
So I think, the system we have in place right now is adequate. However, there are other things that need to be done that aren't being done.
Right.
That the HR person should be involved with and should take the lead with. So that as we do more of the standard HR activities for the town, we'll see how that works out time-wise. But for now, let's go with, I would recommend we go with what we have here.
Okay, sounds good. Any other discussion with the human resource coordinator?
Just a clarification.
Yes.
Are you saying stay with the coordinator title?
No, I'm just saying that the job description and the number of hours, I think, right now, I don't see that they need to be increased.
Right. All right. No other further discussion? Can we put this to a vote, please? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the job description for human resources assistant with the changes noted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion?
Just again, a clarification.
Yes.
That's going to include my suggestion to delete the sentences in the supervision.
That's correct. That paragraph will be deleted, other than works under direction of the town administrator.
That's all you need to have. Yeah.
Yep. No other discussion? Diane?
Yes?
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
I vote yes too, it's unanimous. Unanimous. Personnel policy?
We still have not heard back from town council.
You have not.
They have a good excuse. They've been very busy with other things we've assigned them to do, but I don't have that back. I recommend that we hold off to another meeting, and now that our annual meeting is pretty much wrapped up as far as their work, I'll light the fire under them to get this done.
Okay. That's great.
So can I just make a side note?
Sure.
That the, Alicia, that the personnel policy needs to be changed to reflect the changes we've discussed today
On
with
the
the titles and all of that, but nothing else substantially, I would think, would change in that.
Thanks, Dan. We want to talk about the Acton's one-day license for Auto Sportsman's Group. We have to vote on that. Now, obviously, there's multitudes of days, multitudes of hours, you know, based on the what the sports group does over there. So if you guys get a chance to look at it.
I'm going to recuse myself.
Understood. Thank you, sir.
This is the outdoor.
And I believe they did this last year as well.
Yeah, and they're in compliance with everything, and I did talk to Police Chief Bennett,
Yep.
and he's fine with it.
Okay.
No issue.
So Holly, is this all one together, or is this one and this one?
It's
I
a-
wasn't sure.
A for-profit, a non-profit, and then the auto amusement, entertainment licenses, sorry.
Okay, so
And then there's
this
two
is
approvals that
the-
go to the ABCC. So it's three different,
Okay, wait, so I have to make three different motions?
you don't have to, you can do it all in one.
Are they all the same?
It's for-profit, non-profit, and entertainment licenses.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the for-profit, not-for-profit, and entertainment license for the Otter River Sportsman Club, Inc.
Right. Can I have a second?
Second.
Great, I have a second, Julie. Any discussion with the Auto River Sportsman's Club licensing for use of alcohol beverage?
Sign all of it.
All of them, there's 5 things to sign.
You want me to use my copy? Do you have a copy?
Yep, no, you can use that.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
All right, no discussion? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Thank you.
Can someone tell John he can come back in?
Where'd he go?
Probably in the hallway.
Appreciate it. Next topic of discussion is going to be the road project, Route 68 update.
Okay.
And
I'll just introduce the topic, and Bud can comment. As you were informed last week that the Fuss and O'Neill project is being accelerated. The design for Royalston Road, which was scheduled to cost the town, Chapter 90 fund, $130,000 this year. The price is now going to $197,850. And the reason is that they're going to accelerate the design process, get to so-called 25% design, and get that project on the tip sooner. And we think we have an opportunity to telescope this process of designing and getting this street redone. As you can see, the starting balance in Chapter 90 with the recent allocation from the Commonwealth is $450,731. That's what we have to spend this year out of Chapter 90. If you take $197,850 from it, the available funds for other projects will be $252,252. Now, Bud has done some work measuring and assessing the cost of the materials. And the Hubbardston Road project has two parts. The Templeton Center segment of that is $65,000. The Victoria to Cross Road segment is $135,000, meaning $200,167 to do the Hubbardston Road project this year. Taken from 252, 881, we're down to 52. If we do the Hubbardston Road project in addition to the accelerated design for Royalston Road, we have $52,000 left for remaining projects. And as you can see, he prepared here South Road, Wellington to the Chartier residence. That's going to cost $69,723, which is more than we have. And then the Wellington to the water tank is $52,043. So, the other option would be to hold back on the 52 and use it next year to do the full project on South Road in Wellington. So, you have more to say on that?
I'll answer any questions that you might have. As far as, I will speak about the South Road project that we've been it's been in the dialogue for the last few months. We have a drainage problem up on South Road. And currently, right now, there's no place to drain the water. It's kind of a belly in the road. The water is collecting there. And due to past repaving projects has elevated the road to where it's affecting primarily, I believe, 3 residents up there where the water is in their driveway. One runs in their garage on a heavy rainstorm. It floods their yard. So the elevation there is compromised. There's just no place to get rid of the water. So we had talked before about that it really needs to have a drainage system designed and implemented in that area to correct the water problems. When you reclaim a road, grade it, compact it, the elevation goes up. It just does. It's just
They didn't
natural.
build the houses up high enough.
Yeah, I'm sorry?
They didn't build the houses high enough.
Probably so.
Yeah.
So by reclaiming that road right now and without extracting material to drop the road back down a desired depth, we're gonna have more water problems at these residents. So bottom line is what I'm saying is that area needs some drainage system. Now we have one resident up there that's complaining about water that travels from one side of the road to the other through 3 drain pipes that have been there for 40, 50 years.
Right.
But it's a new homeowner. He has indicated that he doesn't want the water entering in his property. He wants us to stop it. Currently, right now, we can't do anything about it. That's where it goes, that's where it's been going, until we put in a drainage system and correct that. So it's an old, they're farmer drain, they just drain from one side to the low side, and that's where it goes. So a drainage system, it's possible to put one in there and drain it in that valley that I speak about, but we'd have to obtain a legal easement to drain it and go through the proper channels, conservation and whatnot. That would be the first choice where to put the water. Second, the only other choice is to run it all the way down the road at some 4,000 feet, 3,700 feet or so, down to a brook or a stream, and that would be very, very costly. So those are the options for South Road right now. So I hate to see us spending Chapter 90 money, which we don't get much of, and repave that road and still end up with the same problem we got, and that's drainage. We have drainage problems all around town with all the new residents that are going up. It's out of our control, but to make it right, that's what we need to do. So I'm asking the board, and that's what I talked to the town administrator today about trying to fix the two problematic areas on Hubbardston Road, the beginning, and then a section in the middle that's pretty bad.
Okay.
I agree with Bob, and to just leave the remaining funds as the remaining funds. I don't really want to even, aside from the drainage issue, I don't want to, personally, I'd like to not really do too much with Wellington, because they're going to put the school in, and they're going to deal with some drainage issues over there, and just to have all that, so.
Well, but point of clarification, Wellington here was a starting point, not
Starting.
to do any work on Wellington, was a starting
Okay,
point.
oh, okay. So, I would like to see us just take care of Hubbardston Road and do it correctly. And the other thing is in the Fuss and O'Neill contract, the final design, for Phase C next year it'd be 100, max is 113,500, and we're gonna have to have money for that too, correct? Or is it the whole 130 again? Or, because they already are giving an estimated fee schedule for the next phase.
Yep.
So I want to make sure we don't forget about that too,
Yeah,
to
this-
finish it.
Right, the 197,850 will be for this
Because
second
we're
phase.
accelerating it.
Right, we're accelerating and they're pushing hard to get it done. And then there will be an additional engineering fees after that when they get towards 75% in final
Right.
design.
It says 90 to
So there will be another
135.
expense in our next fiscal allotment,
Out of chapter 90.
out of chapter
Yeah.
90.
That's for the Hubbardston Road project.
That is for the Royal.
That's for
Royal-
Royalston Road. So this isn't
I got you.
in the contract on page, well, there is no page, but it says Phase C final design plans ranges from 90 to 113,500.
Right.
So we definitely would have to have that too. But
And why did we need to accelerate?
otherwise we'd be on that tip list forever.
We had received some information that there was a possibility that we could get on the tip list sooner than later. So other towns are doing the same thing, basically. They can't get their projects on the tip list unless they're at a certain percentage of design. So if we accelerate and we're ahead of other communities, we have a good chance of getting on the tip prior to that. This being a projected $6.7 million project as it stands today, and that number may adjust depending on Mass DOT. It gives us the opportunity to step ahead.
And we feel it's reasonably likely that by spending this extra $60,000 that we'll get on early?
I would hope so. There's no way to predict that we will or will not. But however, when you're ready to go, that's what goes on the tip list. And when you're ready to go, that's where the funding is channeled to.
Yes, Julie.
I had a question. Can you explain the Hubbardston Road, Templeton Center, 65,000? We did not vote on that.
No, that's
We
why.
voted on the Hubbardston Road, Victoria to Crossroad. So is this something extra that you're throwing in, that all of a sudden we have a pothole, or I'm confused?
No, it's a revision, that's why.
Because wouldn't that go over to help out Royalston, or no?
No. We've already taken right off the top, we've taken the 197,850 off the 457,31 that's available. So, as Bob explained, it allows us $252,881 for some other projects to do with Chapter 90. So I revised my recommendation that 2 weeks ago you voted on, because Royalston Road's gonna cost us another $67,850 as requested from our engineers to move forward. That changed our projects of what you voted on at your last Selectmen's meeting. So I came in with a revised and talked to Bob about it. And Hubbardston Road, I had brought it up before, but because the numbers we didn't have enough money to do South Road and correct the drainage, obviously, I'm recommending to reconstruct Hubbardston Road from the Templeton Common to about, well, if you were to start out on Hubbardston Road, it's about as far as you can see before the curve. That's where the sewer project stopped paving when they put in Cook Pond Estates. They overlaid Hubbardston Road from that corner to Victoria Lane. The road's still a little bit rough, but it's in fairly decent shape to travel compared to the beginning of Hubbardston Road and then Victoria Lane to Crossroad. So, and there are, on the Templeton side of Hubbardston Road that I'm suggesting, we're spending a lot of time and money in coal patch because the road deck is in failure. There is drainage in that area, however, the drainage is not really draining the road because the road has lost its crown. So the road is now inverted and holding the water versus shedding it off to the gutters. So there's drainage already there, so we don't have to do any drainage improvements other than reconstruct the road, get the crown back in the road, and send the water where it should go.
Ma'am, you have a question?
Hubbardston Road, Victoria to Cross is almost impassable. It's really, really horrible. I can see doing that. From the Hubbardston Road, from the Common down, I would put South Road from before the water tank, like where Millers used to live, around the corner, the water tank, that road's almost impassable. It's really terrible.
What road is that?
South Road.
Oh,
South Road.
okay.
It's horrible. And somebody's gonna get hurt. Because there's just no way. South Road as it is, you have to drive down the middle of the road. Because you cannot drive on the right or the left because you just ruin your car.
Right. But have
You
you
have to
seen,
go down
have you
the
seen
middle.
South Road? Have you been down there?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But again, if we
That's
don't
what
have
I
the money to
would,
fix
I
the
would
drainage,
consider. I would at least try to fix
But
that
then,
little
again,
stretch.
using that fund
you
that we
could.
already approved to
You know,
do
but to the road guy,
on
I'm not.
roads that he
What
hasn't
he's
finished
saying
yet.
is-
What's that?
It-
Sorry.
What he's saying is that we voted on something, but because we can possibly, because we have to be 25% done on Royalston Road, they're asking to re-vote. So we're changing, they're asking for a vote to change.
Okay, so what I understand now is the board, obviously.
We
before
had
me,
already voted funds based on what we knew.
At the time.
But now we know something different, and we're being told, that we possibly could get higher up on the tip list by being
But no
25%.
guarantee, correct?
There's never a
No
guarantee.
guarantee.
for
There's
it.
never a guarantee with any town. When you're ready, you're ready. That's what they look at. When you're ready, you're ready.
When we were gonna do, my notes are in my other file. When we voted last time, we did part of South Road, correct, but we were going to fix the drainage,
minutes.
right?
No, the drainage was not included in that
The
price.
drainage was
No.
not included, oh, that's,
When
okay.
you voted
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, we talked about starting at Wellington Road
Yeah.
and going to about the Chartier
Yeah.
residence. But because of that drainage problem, and then I have
Oh,
talked to
so
Bob.
now there's, okay, that's a
I've
different
talked to Bob
development
about it.
also.
I think
Okay.
it's a bad place to
Yeah.
put the money right now.
I got, sorry, I.
But I'm
must
not
have-
saying go that far. I'm just saying at least do that corner near the water tank, near Young's.
Right, what we had talked about beginning of the discussion here was South Road, Wellington Road to the water tank. That area is as bad as Hubbardston Road, the beginning.
Yep. think it's
It's a
worse.
coin toss. Which one do you want to do? Now,
Oh, okay.
if we're doing work on Hubbardston Road, which you already voted on, but we're looking to, you need to rescind your vote from 2 weeks ago and change it, whatever your decision is tonight. I had put in there from Wellington Road to the water tank, at a cost of $52,043 to reconstruct that portion of the road. I had suggested and talked to Bob about Hubbardston Road from Templeton Center, Route 2A, for a distance before the corner there. I don't have a pole number or a house number for you, but it's a straightaway. That section there is just really bad. It's just as bad as South Road. So if we have our vendors coming in to do work on Hubbardston Road, they'll be
Yeah,
close
cost
by to
us
do the other section if the board wishes to go that direction.
Yes, Will?
The only thing I can say is we have a lot of problems as far
Yes.
as roads. I don't disagree that South Road at some time needs to be looked at. And I have to agree with Superintendent that the beginning of Hubbardston Road really needs to be. Why? Is because when I was here the last time, I said the increased amount of traffic that is on that road compared to South Road. That's a big comparison. And my anticipation is that when the school is built, you will see a lot more traffic because of Cook Pond Estate and the folks on South Road coming through Victoria Lane onto Hubbardston Road, which is that very beginning. We see a lot of traffic on that road, and it only gets worse in the summertime. I anticipate, because of Templeton Fish and Game Club, and in the summertime, that's gonna increase. And like I pointed out the last time, if for some reason the economy gets real good again, you're going to end up having the salvage yard down the road gear up more than they were, where they are now, to the point where they were a couple of years ago. As I pointed out, they had an 18-wheeler, one every hour, going on that road when the economy was good, in addition to the traffic. So that right there tells me that we really need to take a look at this beginning of the road as well as the other section. I've traveled both since I live on there. And it's in bad shape. So I would put a priority there. I mean, I make that as a recommendation. Not that South Road should not be done. We just don't have enough money for that. But the priority, because of the amount of traffic that's anticipated as well as now, you have to look at what you're doing with Hubbardston Road.
Okay.
Actually, I won't go down South Road, I'll go down Hubbardston.
That's right. Once it's done, you can.
I do agree with Will that there is more traffic on Hubbardston Road now. I take it all the time instead of going up and use it as a cut through. So, and I'd rather not Band-Aid. We're already going to be on that road, so instead of going back, but I mean, that's if the board agrees with doing the extra funds for the Chapter 90 for Royston Road. Otherwise, it's a moot point.
Excellent. John?
Well, I think three things about roads, and I think we've said them all in the past. But number one, we're talking about spending $400,000, and we probably have $1 million worth of work that needs to be
Twice
done.
that, two or three times that.
I'm not gonna dispute that. There is a lot more to be done than we have the resources to do.
That's correct.
Number two, South Road, I'm really reticent to put a lot of money into South Road until we have that drainage solution, because I'm just afraid if we put a lot of money in it, it's gonna get washed away. Then lastly, Royston Road, the tip is a pot of money which communities from Sterling to Athol are in competition for. And that includes Fitchburg and Leominster. If we don't tend to business and get our project in, we're gonna end up getting buried, and it's gonna go further down the line, and it's gonna be more years. And I don't know how much more, how much longer can we go with Royston Road being the way it is? We have to get it done.
Any other discussion? So, Mr. Marco, so they already voted on this 2 weeks ago. So does there need to be a vote to rescind the previous vote, then to re-vote on the new information that we have in front of us?
I would recommend rescinding the earlier vote and then targeting projects here in a motion going forward.
Okay, so I make a motion to rescind the vote from April 25th for the, we approved in total $450,230 for Royalston, Hubbardston, and South and various projects.
We have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Do I have any other discussion?
Thank you.
I have none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
No.
And I will vote yes, because I wasn't here, so I'm not aware of I know of the previous vote, but I understand the need, and I also understand Julie's position. So I vote yes as well. So we have 4 yeses and 1 no.
I make a motion to use Chapter 90 funds on Royalston Road / Route 68 for $197,850. For Hubbardston Road, Templeton Center for $65,000. For Hubbardston Road to Victoria Cross Road for $135,167, and to just leave the remaining funds of $52,714.
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion?
Oh, okay, thank you.
I was just gonna ask about, the 50,000 that we voted on 2 weeks ago for various roads to be decided later on top coating them. We're talking about leaving the 52,000 like in the account,
In the Chapter 90 account?
or, so you're gonna leave it there, but you're not gonna work on roads that need to be finished that were done in the last few years, correct?
Yeah.
I just want to clarify that before I vote. Okay.
Okay. We already went, Julie, you got yes?
Well, there was a
We're gonna-
motion, but.
we have a motion, we have a
there was no
second?
John second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do we have a second?
Sorry.
Yeah, I thought we were starting.
You second.
I second.
Any other discussion?
Do you need me to?
No, I'll watch the tape.
Diane?
I'm sorry. Ollie was asking me a question.
Vote?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Doug.
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
No.
Julie's a no. Again, since I wasn't here, I'll vote yes.
Can I just say something?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, whenever somebody comes in and they say they have drainage problems, water's running in their yard, especially with new homes, the reason that happens is because the builder is cheap and he doesn't want to buy fill. So he's building these houses, he's building them too low. And then Bud catches it because there's water coming in his yard. Water does not run uphill.
No.
It runs down. So maybe you should talk to the building inspector and make sure that when they start building new homes, they site them right, so it doesn't come back on the town. You know, if your house is built down here, and it should be up here, there's no way on earth he's gonna stop water from running down your driveway.
No, you get a great point. You get a
No,
good
and
point.
this, a lot of this could be, there would be no need of it.
No, you get a good point. I think that makes perfect sense. And I know Bud's trying to do the best he can with what he has as far
Yeah,
as
it's not his
resources.
fault.
Yes, John.
That is the planning board, because before you can build, you have to have a site plan.
No, they need to do, they need
Which
to
also
get,
includes water
Subdivision
runoff
plan.
and all
need
that
to
stuff as well.
clean up
All of
their
that
act.
should be included, and
See, some of
and the
these were built a
developer
while
should be
ago,
posting an
you know?
adequate bond in case those things happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of issues like that in town, especially with, contracted roads and,
yeah,
Other-
because they don't wanna
other
add fill because it costs too much, so they build a house too low on the grade.
well, thank you so much. We'll move on to, Mr. Castle. Contract update.
Yes.
Thanks, Bud.
Is this okay for you if I'm over here?
That's great, Steve.
The sun is no longer in your eyes, so that's good. Just as an update to the Comcast contract, as you know, we've been working to negotiate it for the past year. On February 5th, back when there was snow on the ground, I know there was snowing that day, Bob Markle, our cable attorney William Solomon, and I negotiated the final phase of the deal with Comcast that we've been working on for the past year. We thought we had some pretty good terms there. It wasn't the best, but we were happy with it. Come to find out, the gentleman we negotiated the contract with left Comcast very soon thereafter. This is not uncommon, apparently. And several responses to Comcast went unanswered, so we had to wait a while. In the past, when this has happened, we've been able to get nothing done for weeks or months with them. So recently, they hired a new community liaison, and he asked for some time to study the situation. The good news is recently we were able to get on the phone with him and talk with him, find out about him, and see what his thoughts were. The bad news is they are reneging on the deal.
Jesus, all that work?
Yep.
Are we talking the original discussion that you had?
The deal that we negotiated on February 5th. And the terms that this gentleman said he thought he could get us are significantly lower than what we negotiated. It's, you could say it's insulting. It's barely a little bit more than what we're doing now, what we're getting from Comcast now. And so we had a very lively discussion with him on Friday about this. And I think we made some progress in terms of explaining to him what we're trying to do here with the cable station and what it can be, and that we're looking to do public access with that, which I don't think he realized. Right now, we only do public and government, and actually education and government, and the public part is something that you open up so people can come in and take cameras out, and organizations can film things and put them on the air. That's what public access is. That should be able to get us back to the bargaining table in a more favorable position to them. So this gentleman requested that we get something from the board in writing, minutes of past meetings, and perhaps a letter expressing your support. So the attorney, Mr. Solomon, and I drafted a letter that you have in your package, and we're asking your support on that. I don't know if you have to vote on it, maybe a signature or the chairman's signature that we can present to Comcast and get the ball rolling once again in our favor. And I think with that, we can get a pretty favorable contract out of them.
Thanks, Steve.
You're welcome.
Chairman, this was a sweetheart deal. I couldn't believe it was so easy. And then a couple days later, we heard that
We got him fired.
that he was leaving. We're not sure under what circumstances, but he must have been willing to give us more of what we wanted simply because he was leaving. And then now this is more like a standard negotiation.
So now we're almost back to square one.
Yes, yeah. I'm not sure it's back to square one. It's just that they're going to renege, and we're going to look at.
We've had the public hearings here. We've presented Comcast with a 20 to 30 page RFP that's detailed, that has all the quotes, all the estimates, and all the investments that we need to make are justified. The deal that we made was less than what we felt we could use in capital investment over the next 10 years in the course of this contract to provide cable access. And, you know, as I think has been discussed, we need to upgrade equipment. It started in this room here, but all this equipment is old and standard definition, and the world's a different place now. This is 1980s technology that we're dealing with. So I believe we can still negotiate with Comcast and get a decent deal out of it, and this will help.
Okay.
I take it just from the conversation that this individual didn't sign the contract, so we have no recourse as a community.
We were waiting for the contracts to go back and forth between him and the lawyer, and it would take, understand that would take weeks.
And too bad we didn't get a signature.
Well, there was certainly a verbal commitment that we heard. So I think that's what we'll make our case on, that we've had the verbal commitment. We're waiting for the paper to come, and we learned that previous representative is no longer with the company. So.
And we have told them that we were holding them to their commitment.
Okay.
So you don't think that telling them, again, reiterating that we've already had the public hearings, we've already discussed, like, just, I mean, obviously we support this, we've been supporting this the entire time. And
If you want to include
I
that in
think
the
that
letter.
I would like
I
it to be a
think-
little bit stronger than this. I mean, we've already signed letters of support in the past, and to really just say, we've gone through every motion, we've, I mean, basically, we're at the point of negotiating, and they're like walking away, but we're not walking away from them. Not that we can, but.
I think that's
So
a good
I'm just
idea.
thinking, I mean, this is nice, but I would like to see a little bit stronger language in here.
I know
Is the
I
rest of the
had-
board
A little more
having
passive
fun?
aggressive.
If I may, I had some stronger language in there, but the attorney toned it down a little
Yeah,
bit.
Bill Solomon will go hard at them, believe me, that's what he does.
I'm just thinking in this
And
letter
so-
to say that we've already gone through, and we've put the public
What
through
actions
the
have we-
motions, and I don't mean you have to be passive aggressive. I just would like to see a little bit, whatever. Those are my thoughts only.
I think we
We're
can,
on third base and he's.
if you were to approve this with those possible changes, I can run that by him and see what he thinks, and perhaps you can authorize the
I mean, we
chairman
need
to
to make a
sign
motion
something.
anyway.
Absolutely. Yes, Will.
Well, I think and correct me if I'm wrong here, but we do have somewhat of a leverage here, not because he hasn't signed a contract. We have broadband going through this community. In fact, we have a setup downstairs that we can connect to broadband. When you go on to broadband, that gives you the opportunity to not only go to Comcast, Turner, and all of the other ones, because it's fiber optic, it's much quicker.
Verizon.
A lot of other communities have, I just saw, I think it was Irving, that went for the broadband initiative so that they can end up upgrading their system in their community, because it does go through there. So maybe that's some leverage that I'm not sure your lawyer is aware of, that we can end up saying, if you don't go, you can't come into the community because we're gonna go with broadband.
There's one thing I like about this community, is we have smart people at different positions. And I gotta give Steve some credit, because he's really smart with the cable stuff, and I've had multiple conversations with him concerning, Verizon, Comcast, other agencies, fiber optic versus other conventional cable systems. So he knows what he's really doing. And have you done that already?
Yes, and I can speak to that, Will, if you want. I'll try to be brief because
Please.
it's complicated. We have fiber optic that runs right by this building with mass broadband, and it has a spur up Baldwinville Road past the high school all the way to emergency response.
Yep.
It would cost us, if we wanted to take that signal in the room that Sean's working on and send this meeting live and broadcast it from the hub in the high school,
Yep.
$3,000 a month. Because they set up the mass broadband initiative so that the carrier, the company that wired it, can make money. Now, in 5 years, that may change, so we're gonna keep an eye on it. Verizon, as far as I know, will not come here.
No.
Files stopped in Leominster, as far as I know, and they do not have an
So
interest in
I'm
doing
aware of that, because I'm gonna try to get on.
So
that.
unfortunately, Comcast has, besides the satellite providers, a virtual monopoly in the town. And
Yeah.
they're at about 85%. And
Right.
this is how cable companies frankly take advantage of small towns like this. They play hardball. We've played hardball with them in the past and we're won. We got Royalston Road wired for cable in 2005. It didn't have, 2006, it did not have cable. They did not want to do it. We got the requisite number of signatures to do that.
Right.
We fought back a petition for them to become deregulated in Templeton, which meant they could raise senior rates as high as they wanted. Very few towns fought that and were able to do that, so. And I may remind the Board of Selectmen, you are the franchising authority, even though this whole process is set up so Comcast seems to have all the advantage. They should, it should be a competitive situation where they come and they should want to, hey, we want the contract, right? You
Exactly.
award them the contract. It shouldn't be the other way around.
That's
So
great.
that's our leverage.
Thanks, Steve, I appreciate it. Do I have a motion?
David wants to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think
Go ahead.
one thing we may be missing here too is we own all the poles.
Mhm.
We're a municipal light department, which could be a municipal cable department. At the snap of a finger, we could tell Comcast, we'll set our own setup up. And
Shrewsbury owns their
a lot
own
of,
cable
lot of
service.
other,
They do well, too.
a lot of other, you're talking internet.
But they're bigger, though, huh?
That is something that the light department may want to consider at some time with the fiber. I know when Sean Hamilton was the manager of the light department, he looked into it, and I have the estimate that he got from a company to wire all the municipal buildings with fiber optics. So, and I think in the next 5 years, maybe the landscape will change a little bit where we can look at using these lines. I intend on keeping a very close eye on it and seeing how we can leverage that for ourselves, and I think that's a great point. And other communities have done this. You should know, though, too, that becoming a multi-channel video carrier is expensive because you have to pay the carriage fees that you always hear about. The negotiations with ESPN and Comcast are at odds because of these fees.
We have no problems, we don't need more.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's something to watch in the future, certainly.
Great.
But
So, does the board wish
Absolutely.
to make some different language in here, or just as is? Because that will affect my.
I would advise on running that by the attorney and seeing if he feels that's better in this letter or something to
Did
handle
he
them with
already review
later.
this? Did he already review this one?
Oh, yeah.
Then I'm making a motion
Okay.
to approve and sign the letter that has been presented to us. I don't want to spend any more.
Great, do I have a second?
Second.
Great, I got a second. Any other discussion? None? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. It's unanimous. Thanks, Steve, I appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Good
Thank you
job,
for all your
Steve.
suggestions.
Good job, Steve. Action on the budget, new and issued for FY17.
It's just that we haven't voted on this
You haven't.
officially.
Okay.
Otherwise, the only changes since the last time you saw it were the ones that I described earlier tonight.
Okay, was the
school
veterans
debt,
agent?
the school debt, and the increase in the Veteran Services Director's salary to $20,000, offset by a reduction in the budget for town buildings.
And the remaining, what was remaining, Bob?
Pardon?
What was remaining?
$80,000 for town buildings and maintenance.
Okay, so that's
You know,
going
we
into
can-
the-
We can get by with that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, please? So I came to the advisory board meeting, and there was something in there about the 27,000 that's in the
Yes.
selectmen budget.
Yes.
Is that where that's
In the-
staying?
In the proposed transfer list on the town warrant,
Okay.
we were taking all of the available funds as we come to the end of the fiscal year that were not going to be used by various departments and consolidating them in the selectmen's budget. We do that for several reasons. First of all, it will enable us to avoid a special town meeting in late May, mid-June, because we will have the funds there. And as the superior department, the Department of Revenue will allow that budget to cover an expense of any dependent department that is organized and supervised by the selectmen. So if we need funds in the building inspector's budget, we could simply transfer the funds there or pay his bills out of that account. As I said to the advisory board, we have no need at this point for any of those funds. We're merely consolidating them into that budget in case. We have no agenda to spend it. I'm hoping we can go through the fiscal year with those funds closing out the free cash at the very end. One caveat could be the audit and the additional expense to the audit for fiscal 13. But other than that,
Right.
we're going to come through this year, as of now, without spending any of those funds, and certainly I don't see any need to tap any of the reserve fund of the advisory board either. So we just put it there for convenience, and that's the right place to have it in case of some need between the 14th of May and June 30th. Because then we can cover any of those bills. Try to keep track of where the departments are with their budgets, not aware of any situations where there's a need. There was some discussion of moving it into the advisory committee's reserve fund. I don't care a lot, but that would mean if we had to do something, we'd just have to come and get a transfer. So I don't think it makes a lot of difference. But clearly, on our transfer list there, we wanted to bring that before. There was some question last week, why didn't we just wait till the end of the fiscal year and use the transfer process between the advisory board and the Board of Selectmen? Well, this is the town meeting. I think we should honor the town meeting and bring that before them to show them what we're doing. And so that was the other reason why we put those transfers on the list.
That makes sense. Any other discussion? Up for the budget?
I'm gonna recuse myself from the voting.
Yes, you saw the message that I sent out from town council regarding conflicts. We can,
Yeah.
let's see, we have
I have
conflicts with COA, and
Library,
you have a conflict,
library.
library, and John has obviously a
I do.
conflict. We can vote by
need-
sections then. We can vote, for example,
Well, how many you need?
the general government section. Actually, everybody can vote on that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, everyone can vote on the general government bottom line. And then we'll go into the next section of the budget, and we'll have,
Yeah, I don't
Wait for
have-
Paula to get back. She can transcribe this the right way.
So what happens when we're down to two? Again,
I'll have to vote need of necessity based on,
what?
well, yeah, necessity, I think is a slippery slope there.
it is.
I'm recommending that you vote on general government right now. Everyone can vote on that, and then we'll go into the next section for total planning,
Right. You
I can't.
land
vote on-
planning.
I can't vote on general government.
Where is general government? You have a
General
different.
government is
For the second page.
Where's general government?
Thank you.
The general government departments are moderator, selectmen, advisory board, town accountant, assessors, collector treasurer, town council, technology, and town clerk. So we don't have any conflicts with anybody
I make a motion, we accept that budget as
He
written.
can't vote for the account.
for the accountant.
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
you should-
So we have 4 votes.
Yeah,
Right, so
you
do
can
I
recuse
abstain
yourself.
or do I recuse?
You recuse.
You recuse. Yeah, recuse.
I have a motion for
So
the
you can
town
get up-
government.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
John seconds, okay. Any discussion? None. Diane?
I'm sorry, I'm not done reading yet,
I'm sorry.
so
I'll stand by.
I don't think I understood all of this. You know, the solution here is to,
Go section by section.
hold on. That was like 10 times. Okay, yes, yes.
Okay, so we had a motion for town government, and we had a second,
General government.
general government.
My answer is yes.
Thank you so much. John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Next section would be land planning, and we have Conservation Commission there, so Doug would probably not want to vote on that either.
Who's in?
Conflict with conservation?
Land planning.
No, that's,
Well, yeah, I guess it's not immediate.
Okay, land planning.
Motion, I'm sorry.
Thinking about
He's
it.
cut- Yeah, he's, yeah,
To accept
like your way
as
up. Yes, I make a motion to accept.
Or you
Excellent.
can take Diane's motion.
I got Diane's motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion to second. Any discussion? Land planning? None? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Now, other general government, which includes the street list, town buildings, town vehicles, town travel, insurance, and retirement. I don't think we have any conflicts on that.
No, I make a motion to accept other general government.
We have a motion. I have a second.
Ask a question.
Yep.
Wouldn't retirement be
Yes.
a conflict?
Yes, it would be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it would,
I would think so.
Well,
Yep.
Cruise.
Not for me. I don't get retirement.
as well as insurance. So I'll recuse myself from that one.
Okay.
And roll back if that's okay.
Just to be
with
safe.
everybody.
That's fine.
I'm just gonna roll back.
You gonna roll back as well?
Well,
Even though you have nothing to do with the retirement assessment, it's given to us by the Worcester County
Yeah.
Regional Board, so
It is.
it doesn't matter what, you couldn't intervene there
Nope.
and change it one way or the other. But anyway,
All right, do I have a motion
you
for
recuse yourself, it's
other
fine.
general government?
So we have a motion, I'll make a second.
Okay. Any discussion? Diane?
yes.
John?
Yes.
I vote yes. Doug and Julia so abstained.
That's 3 votes. Public safety,
Make a motion to accept public safety.
Motion, a second.
Second.
Doug, second. Any discussion? I see none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
public works and facilities, that's highway, vehicle maintenance, snow and ice, streetlights, solid waste disposal, and cemetery.
Move we accept as written.
Mm-hmm.
Second.
Yeah. Motion and a second. Any discussion? No. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Human Services would be Council on the Aging and Veterans Benefits.
I make a
Recuse
mo-
myself from that one.
Yes, Vice Chair would take over the gavel.
I make a motion. Oh, we need a, I'm not making the motion. You can make the
I'll
motion.
move
Thank you.
to
I'll
accept
second.
as written.
Thank you. Human Services. I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. Julie?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I'll vote yes.
Okay. Culture and Recreation,
Julie, yes.
Boynton Library Recreation Commission,
I'll recuse.
Arts Council, Historic Commission, and Celebrations.
Move we accept as
Julie is
presented.
out.
I have the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Long and short-term debt service,
Move we accept as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? No. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Education, NRSD, and Montechusett Regional Technical School,
Make a motion to accept as written.
Technical Vocational School.
It's important. I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Any discussion?
That's it.
None. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes.
Okay.
And according to Town Council, you can all vote on the total package. I don't know that you have to do that since you've voted all the sections.
Yeah, I don't think we need to do that. That's like redundancy.
Now, are the new initiatives included in those numbers?
Yes.
Yep.
I abstained. Okay. Discussion for Elm Street Park project.
I asked for this to go on again.
Thank you.
We're kind of getting late into the spring and we really need to get going. I had spoken with Alan Mayo. He He's been sick. He's feeling better now, but couldn't make it tonight. I did talk with him about, I did a drawing, and he thought it looked good, and he needs to do some measurements. I did look into, the Army Corps of Engineer owns the plot of land right behind where we own. So I think we need to do a plot plan, so we have a clearer definition of where our lines are, and we'll have to work with them, because they own the part where all the town employees park behind the building there. And I would also be working with the Veterans Department and the CPC, because they had an interest in that as well. They provided the money for that project, and they wanted to have some signage up there. So what I was looking for from the board was an approval to move forward and to work with all of these departments with the money that's left over, which is $45,042.64, to get this going, to get a plot plan, to get the drawing, and then bring it back to the board for final approval. I did want to ask for a motion as well to name it the Veterans Park, if that's agreeable. And what else? Alan did say he didn't think that for a park this small that we need a professional designer. Someone had suggested that, and he didn't think it was necessary. And I put a copy of the design in there that I did.
Did you draw this yourself? It looks good. I like it.
Mrs. Poacher's tree.
No, it's just the tree.
All right.
So Holly, parking is at the front, right?
Parking is from front to back. So when you're looking at it,
Which way is the street, sorry? This is the river?
yeah.
Okay.
So if you're looking at it,
Thank
it'd
you.
be, you know, that road.
Yep, got it.
Yeah. And then you could see clear to the back. But that can be changed if, you know, someone has different ideas. That was really similar to the park at Orange that we had gone to look at.
Great. All right, do I have a motion? Well, actually, there's gonna be two motions, I guess. The first one.
I make a motion to name it the Veterans Park.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Yes, ma'am.
The tree that is planted there was planted by the Conservation Commission for Anna Poja.
Right. That was a bicentennial tree.
The one that's out front, is that what you're talking about?
Yep,
Yes.
the little
Yeah,
tree.
that's staying there.
That should, maybe we should have a plaque put there in her honor so people will know it belongs to her.
She was very instrumental in the bicentennial year for planting trees in each of the areas that were within the community.
She was a hardworking woman that came from Finland, lived in New York City, was a maid, her husband was a butler.
Uh-huh.
They bought land and they started a strawberry farm. I don't think they ever retired.
That's awesome.
But she worked on the Conservation Commission, she was very conscientious.
She was.
She was a nice woman.
Okay.
Can you send me some information on that, Bev?
Yep.
Yeah, Holly can work on that. I have a motion and a second for the name, Veterans Park. Any other discussion? No? Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes.
Joey?
Yes.
I think I could vote, and I vote yes as well.
I also make a motion for the park project to move forward with working with all, with the cemetery, veterans, and the CPC, and also obtaining a plot plan.
I have a motion, I have a second.
Second.
Motion, second, discussion? I see none. Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yes.
John?
Yes. Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well.
Thanks, Holly, for doing all that.
Yeah, that's awesome job. And thank you for bringing that up with the conservation. That's good stuff.
Otherwise, people won't know.
Right, that's right. Thank you so much. All right, this time we can vote to go to an executive session under Mass General Law, Section 3 Alpha, Section 221.2, to conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiation with non-union personnel or to conduct collective bargaining sessions and contracts negotiated with non-union personnel, and per Mass General Law 3 Alpha, Section 291.3, to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if any open meeting may have a disgruntled effect or bargaining or litigation positions of the public body, and the chair so declares. Are we, do we want to go into executive session?
Do you so declare? I'll second that.
Okay.
Is
Great.
that so moved?
Is
Sorry.
that so moved?
Yep.
Okay. Diane?
Sorry.
Diane?
Yes.
Doug?
Yeah.
John?
Yes.
Julie?
Yes.
And I vote yes as well. Thank you all for coming.
Are you gonna
I
reconvene?
I
There's no vote on